ended up being fuel for surrogacy rumors. Because why else are you being sort of suspicious and secretive around labor and birth unless you're trying to shuffle out a surrogate?
Indulged the theory. Because if we can show that video again, I don't know, can we show it without playing the weird sound? That belly looks very abnormal. They
purposefully misled the public, and because there was already some rumors and some suspicion, this created huge amounts of distrust.
All the secrecy, the picture-perfect palace moments, the carefully staged smiles gone in a flash. Candace Owens did what no one dared. She questioned Meghan Markle's entire pregnancy story. And just like that, the Duchess of Sussex, once adored as the modern brave royal, found herself at the center of a storm unlike anything the palace had seen in years. No one, literally no one, saw this coming. Not the palace, not the press, not even Meghan herself. What started as subtle whispers behind closed royal doors turned into a thunderstorm of public scandal. The pregnancy story that was once sacred, wrapped in royal silk and PR perfection, was suddenly under a microscope, with every detail being ripped apart and questioned. The Duchess, who had built her image around resilience, motherhood, and empowerment, now found herself caught in one of the most controversial debates in royal history. The irony? The very story that made her relatable was now the one threatening to unravel her entire image. All it took was one video, one bold, unfiltered Candace Owens monologue to send shockwaves through both Hollywood and royal watching circles. Candace, known for saying exactly what others are too scared to say, stared straight into the camera and asked what no mainstream journalist dared to. Did Meghan Markle even give birth the way she claims? The internet froze. For a second, the world held its breath. Her tone, cold, precise, confident.
And a lot of attention to the controversies surrounding her kids, her pregnancies, how the children came into the world.
Candace dissected every piece of the royal timeline, Harry's memoir, press statements, interviews, and none of it matched up. She pointed out how Meghan's hospital stay seemed impossibly short, how the 2 epidural story defied medical logic. To her, it wasn't a royal fairy tale, it was a script gone wrong, a PR illusion disguised as reality. And then it happened, the clip went viral. Hashtags exploded across X. Surrogacy theory began trending. Supporters hailed Candace as fearless, finally someone speaking the truth. Critics called her cruel, heartless, and insensitive. But here's the thing. In today's media, controversy is oxygen. And Candace had just set the room on fire. Suddenly, Harry's memoir, once a tear-stained love letter, turned into evidence. Every paragraph, every emotional line about Archie's birth became a clue. And while most people would have backed down under that pressure, Candace didn't. She doubled down, teasing that she had more receipts coming. Behind the scenes, even royal insiders began whispering, "She's not wrong," one reportedly told a tabloid. There were details that never made sense even back then. It was all unraveling faster than the palace could contain it. By week's end, what started as a short commentary clip had spiraled into a royal crisis. Fans called it misogyny. Critics called it accountability. But the world had already made up its mind. Meghan's story was officially under investigation, and this time, the microscope wasn't forgiving. Out of all the details Candace exposed, one stood out like a flashing red alarm. Harry's claim that Meghan had 2 epidurals. At first, it sounded dramatic, maybe even empowering. But to doctors, it sounded impossible. An epidural isn't just a shot you take twice for effect, it's a serious spinal procedure. Once it's inserted, it stays in. Removing and redoing it during labor? Practically unheard of, unless there is a major emergency. To medical professionals, Harry's claim sounded like something out of a royal soap opera. Doctors online began weighing in, "That doesn't happen," one anesthesiologist wrote in a viral thread. "You'd have to start the procedure over again, that's not done mid-labor." Their verdict?
For the Harry and Meghan thing, except for the political undertones of somebody saying, "I'm not liked, therefore it's because I'm 25% black." Like that.
Something didn't add up. So why include it? Was it just Harry dramatizing? Or was this detail added to make Meghan's story sound more emotional? More cinematic? For skeptics, the 2 epidural moment became the smoking gun. And when Candace Owens repeated it on her show, her words hit hard. If the medical story doesn't check out, what else doesn't? Still, the Sussexes said nothing. Silence fueling even more suspicion. Online sleuths began charting timelines, hospital procedures, even hospital layouts. It turned obsessive, invasive, and viral. Soon, what was meant to be a loving birth story had turned into a global autopsy of credibility. Then came the detail that truly broke the internet. According to Harry's book, Meghan left the hospital hours after giving birth. Hours. Back home at Frogmore Cottage, glowing and resting. But anyone who's ever seen childbirth up close knew something was off. Doctors were baffled.
Well as the rumors that perhaps they used a surrogate for one or both of the children. Now, these rumors started way back when they got pregnant with Archie.
One obstetrician told The Telegraph, "That's not just improbable, it's unsafe. Normally, new mothers are kept under observation for at least 24-48 hours, especially with epidural use or preeclampsia. But Meghan, back home by lunch, smiling, effortless, almost superhuman." And that's when critics began to whisper, was this story crafted for admiration, not accuracy? Candace pounced. The only thing delivered faster than Archie was the PR spin. It was ruthless, but it stuck. Royal births have always followed strict rules. The Queen is informed first. An official announcement goes up outside Buckingham Palace. The press waits outside the hospital. But with Archie, chaos. The palace said Meghan was in labor. Hours later, they announced she had already given birth. Reporters were confused, scrambling to fix headlines. Some said morning, others said night. It was a circus of contradictions, and it didn't feel accidental. Insiders whispered that Meghan wanted control, total control. She wanted the mystery, the suspense, the intrigue, but her PR gamble backfired spectacularly. Instead of fascination, she got doubt. Instead of applause, she got a disbelief. Even loyal royal reporters admitted, we were lied to, it felt like a cover-up. And once Candace Owens got hold of that angle, it was over.
Democrats saying it, we see that pollution all throughout Hollywood. So this Hollywood star going into a country that really sort of loves its tradition.
Harry's memoir turned Portland Hospital into a luxury spa, dimmed lights, private menus, gentle nurses, and secret exits. But insiders laughed. It sounds like a movie, one staffer told the press, because it is. No special elevator, no secret meals, no midnight gourmet service. And worse, no hospital staff ever publicly confirmed Meghan's stay. Unlike Kate Middleton's births at the Lindo wing, where the world saw photos and staff verified the event with Meghan, there was only silence. Candace seized on that too. If this story is so real, where's the proof? Hospitals have paperwork, protocol, security footage. So why is everyone hiding? That line spread like wildfire. When Meghan first said she'd keep her birth private, the world cheered. Finally, a royal doing it her way. But slowly, privacy began to look less like protection and more like production. Every statement, every photo, every interview felt rehearsed, cinematic even. Behind every empowering quote was a lighting crew, a camera, a calculated angle. It didn't feel spontaneous, it felt staged. Insiders whispered that Meghan wasn't shielding her child, she was directing her image. Candace called it out. There's a difference between protecting your peace and protecting a lie, and those words cut deep. For every emotional story Meghan shared, there seemed to be two contradictions waiting online. Why include questionable medical details in a memoir? Why mislead the press about timelines? Why correct stories she herself had started? Candace said it plainly, this isn't authenticity, it's audience management. That one line sent shockwaves through social media. Her supporters cheered, finally someone saying what we're all thinking. Her critics called it cruel.
Archie's birth controversy, because it's not just where the rumors of possible use of a...
But deep down, people started wondering, was Meghan's truth just another royal performance? By now, the inconsistencies were impossible to ignore. Medical contradictions, timeline gaps, silent witnesses, doctors called it improbable, royal reporters called it deceptive, and the public? They called it suspicious. Then came the insider testimonies, anonymous accounts from supposed hospital staff. They claimed there was nothing special that night. No royal buzz, no VIP treatment, just a quiet evening. Almost too quiet. Candace Owens didn't waste a second. Are we really expected to believe a royal birth happened that no one saw, no one confirmed, and no one documented? That question became the new headline. The palace stayed silent, Meghan stayed silent, and silence, in this case, spoke louder than any denial ever could. Meghan's once golden image began to crack. Her authenticity, once her strongest weapon, was now her biggest liability. Even Hollywood, usually protective of its stars, grew distant. PR experts began saying out loud what others only whispered, the story doesn't add up. Candace's most viral quote summed it up perfectly. When a story changes too many times, it stops being a memory, it becomes a performance. And for Meghan, the audience had stopped clapping. From Netflix documentaries to memoirs to Oprah specials, Meghan and Harry had built an empire around their story.
Being fundamentally racist, it's just like, let's keep the American BS race narrative at least within the bounds of America.
But when Candace started pulling the strings, the whole puppet show began to wobble. PR experts called it the Meghan cycle: release a story, control the backlash, shift the narrative, repeat. It worked until people noticed the pattern. Harry's book Spare was supposed to humanize them. Instead, it weaponized doubt. Every paragraph was now cross-checked, every date scrutinized. Even the 2 epidurals line had become an international meme. Candace dissected it live on her podcast, calling the memoir A masterclass in oversharing and undertruthing. It was brutal but undeniably effective. Once upon a time, Meghan's story symbolized empowerment. Now it symbolizes caution. A reminder of how quickly admiration can turn into suspicion. Candace Owens didn't just throw shade, she forced the world to reevaluate what's real in celebrity storytelling. Because in the age of Netflix deals, ghostwritten memoirs, and PR, spin authenticity itself has become a brand. And Meghan Markle,
slaves in its country, and by the way, in terms of worldwide slavery, the Englishmen were the first to abolish it. So she's sort of relying on American ignorance and the race obsession in America and extended it.
She may have been its most polished example. The once beloved Duchess now stands as a case study of how controlling your narrative can end up controlling you. Candace Owens became the storm that stripped away the gloss. Her relentless questioning turned whispers into headlines, and headlines into a global debate. By the end of it all, one haunting question remained. Did Meghan craft her truth or sell a story the world wanted to believe? Because now, every smile looks rehearsed. Every silence sounds strategic. The line between fairy tale and fabrication has blurred beyond repair. Candace didn't start this fire, but she made sure the whole world watched it burn. And as the smoke clears, one truth remains. Meghan Markle's pregnancy story may never, ever be fully believed again.